Diversity is one of the best strategies, and at the same time, it's a challenge all in of itself for reasons of compatibility and incompatibility.
Much like the original Sims, the personality traits and how you set up your families, the family unit itself, what ages you have included in the family, has a lot to do with the play strategy. Obviously, those motives and those skills are still really important to how a family works together. You still want to have somebody in the family who's really neat to make sure that they're cleaning up after the family. So setting those extreme personality traits is definitely a benefit.
Another strategy for The Sims is, and this was true in the first game, which is really how do you create your family? What are the different Sims that make up a family to make it the most efficient and optimized kind of functional family? And one of the ways you can do that in Sims 2 is make sure that you've got some Sims that have the family aspiration, and they're going to get highly rewarded for having kids and teaching things to their kids, and for their kids having kids, and really growing the whole family tree. But you want to make sure you also have some Sims in the family that are orientated toward wealth and career and money, so that you've constantly got money coming into the family. So really balancing the type of Sims that are in your family is a good way to optimize that family for success.
Genetics is more than just how big your nose is or what color your hair is. It's, are you mean? Are you nice? Are you neat? Are you sloppy? Vanilla personalities where everything's sort of right down the middle doesn't really produce generations that are much different.
There are ways in the game to actually influence and increase the personality points that you get out of Create a Sim. So as a player, you're going to want to try and maximize your personality points with your children, because as they grow up, they actually pass those personality traits down to the next generation. So you can actually end up with Sims that have more personality points or traits than they can get being created in Create a Sim.
Spend those points. Give your Sims some strong personalities. Your gameplay will just be funnier. It also means the children are going to have something more to inherit. I think working to make sure that there's diversity in that gene pool. Mix up the hair colors, mix up the skin colors, mix up the eye colors. Download that custom content. Don't forget that those are genetics too. Somebody's out there making the blue leopard skin. They're out there. And if you get that skin, you're going to see it in subsequent generations. It's not just something that you're going to paint your Sim with for today. So, you know, get involved with the community and enrich that gene pool. Sims are going to want love if they're family. They're going to want hugging and kissing if they're romance. They're going to want money if they're wealth, and so on. And sometimes the only way to get those things is to have other Sims in the neighborhood with whom you can interact. So one of the important things to remember is don't just play one house. Have other houses going that have the Sims in there that you can meet, that your Sim that you're playing right now can meet and interact with. Remember that grandma, when she's living alone, still is probably going to want her grandchild to grow up good. She's still going to want to see her children get married. So you're going to need to play those other Sims.
The older generations can share knowledge or wisdom with the younger generations. And because you're playing across a neighborhood now, you can actually have the grandparents live in another house. So it's not like you have to play all of those Sims all the time to get their benefit. You can actually have grandma and grandpa live in another house, invite them over, have them share knowledge with the kids via different objects in the game that share career knowledge, or they can actually pass along and encourage personality development. So you have the not very nice child, or the kind of grumpy child who grandma's very nice and she encourages him to be nice, and you can actually change his personality in the game. So there's a lot of benefit of having this widespread family and friend network across an entire neighborhood. It's not just one house anymore, you're playing an entire neighborhood.
Keeping your Sims in sync with regard to age is a key element of this game. And that's another reason why you don't want to be playing just one house all the time. You're going to have to play the different houses to keep them sort of in balance with each other time-wise. Nothing says you have to do this, but a lot of the wants that your sim is going to have, I want to fall in love, I want to get married, I want to have kids, or I want to have a best friend, are going to be wants that depend on there being sims out there who are compatible not just from an aspiration standpoint, from an age standpoint.
A lot of the strategy tips in Sims 2 haven't been found yet. In Sims 1, much of the strategy was developed through player creativity. The Black Widow strategy of marrying the neighbors and then killing them off and getting their money, that wasn't something we specifically set out to do. It was something through player creativity that was developed and kind of capitalized on.
Some of the greatest strategies of Sims 1 were not things that we thought of. That were things that the players realized they needed to do or wanted to do to get the most out of the system, or to get around some of the things we said you shouldn't be able to do.
Why would you ever want to do that to your sim? And that's the whole point, is that this is a huge game, and Sims 2 is just exponentially bigger than Sims 1. There are so many strategies, gameplay techniques that haven't been unlocked yet because the players haven't gotten a hold of it yet.
There's a lot of strategies out there that the players are going to develop that we don't have yet. And it's not because we didn't think them through. It's because this game is a toolbox. It's a toy more than a game. And the options are almost infinite.
Even for people who've played the game for years, they're still unlocking and discovering strategies because it is such an open-ended game. It's just this big, huge sandbox, and not everybody tries everything that can be done in the game. And Sims 2 is so much larger than Sims 1. All of the strategies haven't been unlocked yet. They just haven't.
The Sims are a lot more intelligent now about eating when they're hungry and sleeping when they're tired. But they're still not so good at making sure there's time left over in the day after that. That's your job. Sometimes you'll get lucky and the sim will want to do something that happens to fulfill a need that they have right now. But more often, you're going to need to really work to optimize the needs game so that you win back that extra time, so that you can spend it on the things that sim wants.
Much like us in life, we always want to carve out time to do the things we want to do that aren't about just kind of surviving day to day. And now the Sims are going to tell you that. They're going to say, I want to have a baby, I want to get promoted. And it's really your job to make sure that you're carving out enough time to give the Sims what they want, and you'll be rewarded for doing that. You don't have to give them what they want, and indeed you can give them what they don't want. But if you do pay attention to that, then you'll be rewarded for that.
Your job is to help them be smarter about sleeping when they're tired and eating when they're hungry. Eating better food. Better food means you don't have to eat as often. Build those cooking skills so that the food can be better. Now in Sims 2, you can choose the specific food that your sim is going to make and do the trade-offs yourself between the amount of time it takes to make that food and how much hunger it satisfies.
Although the motive game is de-emphasized to give you more time to concentrate on your Sims' dreams, their lifetime goals, you can't forget about their motives. So you really, as a player, have to pay attention to, are they taking care of themselves? Am I giving them the opportunity to take care of themselves? So as a player, you really want to be watching their mood as well as their wants, and not forget about the mood, because otherwise you can find yourself in a hole that you have to dig out of.
I think one of the most important things to remember when you're playing this game is that you don't have an infinite amount of time. In Sims 1 you did, here you really don't. Time is marching on, so keep that in mind in the back of your head whenever you play. There's that old saying, time is money. Well, now everything's time. I think the players who feel they've gotten everything there is to get out of The Sims and are looking to us to see what more we have to offer are looking for an opportunity to measure their own skill in a way that they didn't have before. And in Sims 2, there's a real measure, and that's the aspiration. I don't want to just call it a score, because we hope it's more than that.
For the gamer that's really trying to achieve all the things the game has to offer, and to knock off all the the bowling pins, the wants and fears really give them a way to do that. You have goals now, and they're specific to the age ranges, and the ultimate goal is to have a sim that has lived the perfect life.
Your sim is going to really need you to focus on the most efficient use of their time possible to get them to the top of their aspiration.
Creating a family unit and having the parents bestow all of their time on the children to maximize the children is really one of the best strategies in the game, because you're going to spend the most time in terms of a lifetime with the kids. You have the best opportunity to maximize their aspiration. You have the best opportunity to maximize their career. You have the best opportunity to maximize their skills if you start when they're kids, when they're even toddlers, because it's a time game.
Think of it in terms of your own life. There's a lot of things you want to do, but you may or may not be able to do them all before that fateful day comes. And that fateful day is coming for every sim. There's new ways for your sim to die that I've got my favorite, which involves a piece of orbital hardware that makes an untimely return to Earth, and I'm not going to tell you how that happens.
I'll tell you what one of my favorite ones is, but I'll let you guys figure out how to trigger it. It's called Death by Flies, and I'll let you guys figure out how you actually get it to happen.
Those things are in there for you to find, and they're more than Easter eggs. They're the gold that's sort of hidden in and amongst the different parts of the game. I think there were elements in the first game that got repetitive quickly, and in this game we're hoping that those elements are a little bit more rewarding and a little richer, and that your sim is going to lead you to those elements in the game by what they want, and they're going to want what they want by the way you play them. And the better you play those wants, the deeper you'll dig to find that little buried treasure.